Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. It's time for Coffee and Cursey Words. Today we have to talk about something that we talked about on Tuesday, the AI, and I say AI artist FN Meka because I don't know if it's actually AI or if it's really just a virtual artist at this point. Either way, we're going to talk about that record deal again. We just talked about this on Tuesday, which is so wild. We also have this Hamilton lawsuit. Well, the media has called it a lawsuit. I think it was a cease and desist that has since resolved, but we're going to talk about what was going on with Alexander Hamilton. And then we're going to get into a new Taylor Swift lawsuit and talking about the big win in court for Vanessa Bryant over the county of Los Angeles. Lots to get into. Let me know where you're coming in from. I hope you all are well. I've the last few days over here have been busy. So we're going to talk about that real quick. Replay crew, love you. You know that the timestamps will all be down below. So with that, we should roll the intro, get into these topics. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. So let's go. Let's go. It's time. That's also not the intro. I need to move where my buttons are. I need to be more mindful of my buttons. I'm going to start singing the Pussycat Dolls. No, I'm not. Let's go. It's time. I'm not caffeinated. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. Good morning, everybody. So things that are going on over here, Dr. B is not healthy. So I am still kind of bouncing back from being from not feeling well at all. And in the bouncing back from that, it's kind of a slow thing. It's intestinal stuff. It's going to take some time, but not like sick. Dr. B has bronchitis, walking pneumonia, and strep throat. And it's just because of course, like the kids are back in school. So life is busy. And Dr. B is down. He is feeling better now that he is on all of the medications, but it's just been a wild few days over here. So if you're looking at me like, Emily, you seem tired. It's never easy running I'm used to having reinforcements. I am used to the amount of work that I do in work and then the amount of work I do at home. And so when one partner goes down and you're just doing it all, it's a lot. And then there's like a ton of school stuff. We already have projects that require like poster board and stuff. And I'm like, y'all need to chill. Look, it is that we just went back to school. Please, I don't have time to be making. We're going to make time. We're going to make time to make poster boards. So that's what I will be doing this evening. There's also like pants that need to be hemmed. I'm like, I love how casual it is. Like these things need to be hemmed. I'm like, I realize that most people are probably capable of accomplishing this. I, however, am not capable of just like hemming things. It's not, no, I need time to make sure I can take them to be hemmed because I can't just like whip that out all of the time. So we're doing all the things, which is all the things. It rearranges how much I can do here. So there are some things I probably will not get to just because my research time got cut by family time. And that's what happens. I am so blessed to be able to have a job where it can be like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. If we don't do a deep dive on something today, it's all going to be fine. And I feel very lucky to be able to modify what I'm doing to try not to get sucked in to the internet and be like, oh, we're not going to be much on the web for the next few days because we have a lot of things to do in real life. And to be able to do that, I'm very, very grateful. I'm very, very grateful that, I didn't have to be up this morning with hair washed and dried and in court. I'm glad. So, yes, I've got my fax hat on because no, my hair is super not clean at all. But we got a suggestion from the chat, and I'm going to let you know I'm trying this out. We got a suggestion from the chat about whether the black fax hat could say not fuckery on the back. I think we can. I've got samples coming and I'm very, very excited about it. So samples are coming. Samples are coming. Samples are coming. And with that, it is time. It is time. It is time to move on. I mean, it's just been busy. So if any of you are watching this being like, you seem tired. Accurate. But we have so much to talk about today because when I say I was going down a rabbit hole after Tuesday, if y'all were here on Tuesday, we went down a whole AI rabbit hole. I'm so here for it. The reason I started covering or looked at covering the FN Meka AI, I think it's more virtual at this point, but AI rapper who was signed and has since been terminated by Capitol Records. And we're going to get into that in a minute. I was so curious about the legal side of it. How do these contracts work? Who's getting paid? How are they getting paid? Is this to undercut residuals from artists on the back end? Like, how is this all going to work? And is this really just a way that live artists are going to get paid less and a bunch of suits who aren't artists are going to get paid more? And I mean, the music industry, wild. That's so wild. Did they just look at the number of followers on TikTok and be like, oh, yes, this makes a great idea? But I wanted to know about the contracting. How do you contract? Like, who owns the rights to a AI or virtual creation? I think it's a little easier with virtual creations, but with AI, at some point, who owns the rights to that? How do you contract that? And we learned in going through that story on Tuesday that it was another music group that had created FN Meka. And herein lies the problem. But when I went down that rabbit hole, and we're going to get to the problem in a minute. When I went down that rabbit hole, this is now what's at my house. You guys know I absolutely love this series from MIT Press, Essential Knowledge. They pulled together a bunch of academics from different fields and professionals in their fields for all kinds of different primers on certain areas. I am really, really interested in the kind of primers on AI ethics and looking at these questions. So as we started asking questions, I'm like, I would like to know more, because how are we going to start dealing with these things? And I just saw a great comment in the chat that I'm going to bring up because it's something we need to talk about. So Legal Eagle has said in videos that only humans can have copyrights according to the Supreme Court. Will, I don't doubt that Legal Eagle said that. I don't doubt that it's true. I have not done the case research yet, but I do know that Legal Eagle heavily researches his cases when he talks about them. But if humans are writing the music using an algorithm, then there would technically be a credited writer, not a performer. So if if algorithms are helping construct the music, but it's technically being written by someone, then I think we have a mix, because Capitol Records is not signing something that they cannot monetize. The one thing we're going to trust is that companies are going to act in the best interest of the company to make money. Like that's one of those things I feel like is up there with taxes and, inevitable death at some point. I feel like those things kind of go hand in hand. So we should get to quick bits and talk a little bit more about FN Meka, the AI artist, why they were fired. This does not get into the legal reasons. I just very much wonder if there was like a morality clause in the contract. Like, how did they get out of the contract? It seemed like no money had changed hands. But this gets into more of the morality questions. And that, again, I generally cover the legality of stuff, but we covered this and we're going to cover why this rapper was fired. So let's get to quick bits so we can just jump into this story first, because it's time. Quick bits. And this is where we get into questions of like, hey, when I started talking about this, again, I told you my standpoint of interest on this on Tuesday is, how are these contracts working? Who's getting paid? Is this to get out of back end residuals? What is the legal thought process behind how a AI, they keep calling him an AI rapper, but again, I'm starting to think this is more, and Miguelina and I were talking about this before the stream, but more of almost like a VTuber where it's somebody is writing the songs, somebody is voicing the songs, somebody is using an algorithm to decide what music they want to make, but this is not truly artificial intelligence that is creating its own music and speaking its own thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. So this becomes a creation of someone or some company. And with that, we find the problem. So this is coming from BET, which is where we went to the original story as well. Capitol Records drops AI rapper FN Meka for use of the N-word. Quote, "We offer our deepest apologies to the Black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about equity and the creative process behind it," the label said. Who didn't ask these questions, and why don't you all have people at your executive level that are asking these questions and having these conversations? Probably because there's not enough diversity at Capitol Records. I have not looked up their C-suite. That is just a guess. We're going to look at the rest of this. But the chat brought this up on Tuesday, and the chat was like, no, people are pissed about this. This is not a good thing. And I was like, I did not know there was already outrage brewing on Tuesday. And so when we saw this record be, or this artist, or this creation be terminated on, or collaboration be terminated on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not surprised. And I can understand. I can absolutely understand. So let's get into it real quick and see what happened. Less than 2 weeks after AI rapper FN Meka, see, the news of it just broke in a way that I saw it. I didn't realize it was 2 weeks. Signed to Capitol Records, the label has now severed ties with the robot. I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. I think this is more of a virtual skin. I think that that's what this is. I don't think this is actually a AI. So that's where I'm at. Amid backlash surrounding the N-word, I think there's more to it, but we'll get to there. According to Variety, Capitol Records issued the following statement, or the statement following their decision. CMG has severed ties with the FN Meka project. I think that's probably the fair way to say it. Effective immediately, we offer our deepest apologies to the Black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about the equity and creative process behind it. We thank those who have reached out to us with constructive feedback in the past couple of days. Your input was invaluable as we came to the decision to end our association with the project. The artist recently released a single, quote unquote, Florida Water featuring Gunna, which has since been taken down. His 2019 single Moonwalk, which uses the N-word, has resurfaced on Twitter and caused controversy after users found out that no one on the team behind FN Meka was Black. And that is a big part of the problem too, when you have people deciding how they are going to create an artist. And we talked about this towards the end of the stream on Tuesday, talking about how people can just create a virtual skin to do whatever and to say whatever. And where is the boundaries of that? And the Black community said, this is a hard fucking boundary for us. You don't get to just create a likeness and a caricature and have it perform. That's not what we're not going to do. And y'all on Tuesday were like, this is a huge problem. I'm just looking at the legal, but this is also going to be legal issues for companies if they do not have diversity at the highest tiers to say, hey, have we looked into who's speaking the words behind this? Who is saying the words behind this? Who is making this caricature? And if you don't have diversity at your top levels of your company, they're not thinking to ask that question. And that's why these conversations need to be had, which is why I absolutely wanted to talk about why this AI was terminated. Because when we're talking about AI ethics, this is what it is. So that's a question, and that's a conversation that we have to have. So I'm sorry, my dyslexic butt cannot read your screen name, though it looks very cool, but definitely blackface. I mean, how is it not, though? how is it not? And that not knowing who's behind it is a different thing. If this is a collective of other rappers that have created a virtual collab project, it's a very different situation. So Industry Blackout on Twitter said, "Have you lost your FN minds?" I appreciate the play on words in the tweet because I appreciate the play on words in the tweet. Dear Capitol Records, it has come to our attention that your company has decided to partner with Factory New on signing the artificially designed rapper FN Meka. I think that's also probably an appropriate way to describe. I didn't want to go to Twitter. I think that's also a proper way to describe this, artificially designed. While we applaud innovation in tech that connects listeners to music and enhances the experience, we find fault in the lack of awareness and how offensive this caricature is. It is a direct insult to the Black community and our culture, an amalgamation of gross stereotypes, appropriative mannerisms that derive from Black artists, complete with slurs infused in lyrics. This digital effigy is a careless abomination and disrespectful to real people who face real consequences in real life. For example, Gunna, a Black artist who is featured on a song with FN Meka, is currently incarcerated for rapping about the same lyrics this robot mimics. The difference is your artificial rapper will not be subject to federal charges for such. For your company to approve this shows a serious lack of diversity and resounding amount of tone-deaf leadership. This is simply unacceptable and will not be tolerated. We demand this partnership be terminated, a formal apology be issued. Both of those things have happened. FN Meka removed from all platforms. I don't think that has happened because they have millions and millions and millions of followers over on TikTok. Furthermore, all money spent by Capitol Records and Factory New for this project will be allocated to charitable organizations that directly support Black youth in the arts, as well as marketing budgets for Black artists signed to Capitol Records. We look forward to your response and compliance. And that's the first article coming out of BET, but there is more to this story because when we talk about whether or not this is AI, we started to see it on in the first article from BET on Tuesday when they were saying they've not gotten FN Meka to the point where this project is voicing itself. So now we're getting to, well, who is voicing FN Meka? And we have, again, this is a claim. This is a claim that we need to investigate more, but this is something that's brewing that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. So this is coming from NME.com. Man claiming to voice FN Meka, controversial AI rapper, dropped by Capitol Records, says label used me, then ghosted me. They promised me equity in the company percentage, all this stuff, Kyle the Hooligan has claimed. An Atlanta-based rapper has alleged that he is the voice behind AI star FN Meka. Again, probably not AI. Probably more like a VTuber. So, Atlanta-based rapper has alleged that the voice behind AI star FN Meka and has turned, nope, I read that terribly. An Atlanta-based rapper has alleged that he is the voice behind AI star FN Meka and in turn has accused Capitol Records of ghosting him after he was promised equity in the label. Oh boy. Kyle the Hooligan has posted notes and videos in which he claims that the Universal owned label have left him high and dry and shared information that purports to prove he is the formerly unknown voice behind the virtual or the viral robot rapper. I also wonder if there are contracts in place where this is also going to be a problem. I imagine if you're hiring someone to voice a digital project like this, there are probably NDAs in place, but that aside, let us continue. FN Meka, made in collaboration with Factory New, was dropped by Capitol Records less than a fortnight. Could use a fortnight after launching it, after its critics highlight the way the project trivialized elements of Black culture and then used them for shock value. The label alluded to this in a formal apology shared online earlier this week by the New York Times, and everyone else. Meka was marketed as the world's first AI rapper, though really, again, just a virtual collab. The world's first AI rapper to sign to a major label, with Ryan Rundin, Capital Music Group's executive vice president of experiential marketing and business development, saying that this project meets at the intersection of music, technology, and gaming culture, is just a preview of what's to come. I wonder when that statement was released. Probably before all of this. Capital released its first FN Meka single, Florida Water, on August 12th, with featured guest vocals from real-life rapper Gunna and ancillary involvement from gaming streamer Clicks. But controversy followed when Meka, who garnered more than 10 million TikTok followers, millions and millions, was seen to use the N-word and appeared to make light of police brutality. As one of his creators, E-Town Concrete vocalist Anthony Martini explained to Music Business Worldwide, lyrical content, chords, melody, tempo, sounds, etc. for Meka were all determined by artificial intelligence, but he was voiced by a human. Now, Kyle the Hooligan, has broken his silence to claim that Capital used me for my voice, my likeness, and culture, got 10 million TikTok followers and a big record deal off what I created, and then ghosted me. They came to me with this AI shit and was like, I want to be the voice of it, and I thought it was going to be some collaboration, Kyle wrote in a caption for the video. In the clip, he alleged they promised me equity in the company, percentages, all of this stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, this is about to be some collab, something different for me, so I can do my music and do some AI stuff with this FN Meka character. So everything going good. He continued, next thing I know, they ghosted me, used my voice, used my sound, used the culture, and literally just left me high and dry. I ain't get a dime off nothing, and they got record deals, all this stuff. I wasn't involved in meetings and none of that, which is fucked up. Yep. So I'm glad, well, we'll have to see the contract. So I'm glad They Ass got canceled, because that's karma for They Ass, because God don't play with me. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm sure that there will be lawyers all up in the DMs of Kyle the Hooligan to have a conversation about all of this and take a look at whatever contract they signed and if they did sign contracts. But this is exactly what we were talking about on Tuesday. Are they going to pay a day rate to the person behind the scenes and then say, hey, we paid you $200 to lay down this track. You don't get residuals. You don't get the performances. You don't get, whatever product rights and likeness rights and all these things. This is the underlying, well, not the only underlying problem, but this is one of the underlying concerns. But it seems like even though they brought in someone to voice them, they were not involved in decision making. They were not involved in equity share. They were not involved in this project. And that is another one of the problems here. And when we look at the legal problems, this is going to be a huge legal problem. So with that, we are now seeing the AI project immediately terminated from Capitol Records, and we are seeing the purported voice behind it coming forward and talking about behind the scenes how they are being treated. And that is a big problem. So the music industry is going to find a way to be exploitative. We heard Kanye West talking about this. He's not the only artist, but it's something that I covered quite a lot when he was talking out about streaming rights and the way artists were getting hosed over streaming rights. There is a continued push-pull in the music industry. And he saw it quoted in the first article we talked about from the person behind this project saying, look, labels have maybe 1% success rate. We're looking to bump that to a 2% success rate. Labels spend all of this money to try to find talent and make it work, and we can't. So we're just going to create it in another way. And that's really what that quote was on Tuesday. And the thing is, you can't just. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how and when we will get another artist like this being signed. I'm sure they're going to this project will still be on TikTok. We'll see, maybe not. But this is a community coming forward and being like, this is where the boundary is. and how you start to find boundaries on who's behind projects like this, how projects like this get rolled out, and who's having consideration. And at the end of the day, you have to have, and we have to have more conversations about not only not appropriating people, but you can't just create a virtual caricature, make them do whatever you want and be like, but that's the caricature. That's boundaries. So, chat, thank you for being kind as we have this conversation, because again, it is conversations we're going to have to keep having. And even if this was a project where race wasn't clearly so inextricably involved, we would still need to have the conversation about who the artists are behind these projects. Are they the ones being paid, or are they being exploited? And that's a continuous conversation to have about exploitation. So with that, we're going to move on to our next topic. We're going to talk about Alexander Hamilton. We're going to talk about Hamilton. Hamilton fans in the chat, where are my musical theater friends? I mean, I think Hamilton kind of crosses the bounds for everyone. I think maybe that's just my perception, but we got to talk about Hamilton. Let's talk about Hamilton. Are you guys aware of the church that illegally performed Hamilton? You have to have licensing rights to perform things. Yes, we are talking about Scamilton. We are talking about Scamilton. That's exactly what we're talking about. You have to have rights to perform things. Was it a year plus ago when we were talking about Taylor Swift and the LARPing park and Evermore, and part of the countersuit was that the LARPing park was like live performing Taylor Swift music, even though they were suing her over Evermore? Yeah, you have to have performance rights. Well, it seems that maybe some of those issues escaped. So let's back up to what happened. I was waiting to see if this would end up in court, but it seems to have resolved. So we're just going to talk about it now because I absolutely wanted to talk about it. So to Alexander Hamilton we go. Let's see. Lin-Manuel Miranda blasts Texas church's illegal Hamilton show. Now lawyers do their work. This show's creators weighing in on the illegal unauthorized production that went viral over the weekend. This article's from 8/10/2022. I'm just going to warn you, this also has homophobic undertones with the way the church performed it. And that doesn't fly up in here. So we're going to be talking about that too. Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda is speaking out about an unauthorized and altered, we should add, and altered performance of his Tony-winning musical at the Texas church that was allegedly altered to include biblical references and end with a sermon that made anti-LGBTQ plus statements. No. Days after Hamilton's production company reportedly sent a cease and desist to the Dallas area church, Dor McAllen, the show's creator. I was confused by the use of the word Dor as a first name. It paused my reading, but it's capitalized, so I think that's correct. The show's creator and original star took to Twitter to say that he was grateful to everyone who reached out about the illegal, unauthorized production. Now lawyers do their work, Miranda tweeted. That's so confusing. Grateful for, this was Lin-Manuel Miranda's tweet. That is so confusing. Oh, the show's creator. My reading comprehension is struggling today. The show's creator and original star took to Twitter to say that he was grateful. The comma I apparently missed in my brain. Grateful to all of you who reached out about this illegal, unauthorized production. Now lawyers do their work, and always grateful to the Drama Guild, who have the backs of writers everywhere, be it your first play or your 15th. The Dramatists Guild condemns the Dor McAllen Church, that's the name of the church, for its unauthorized production of Lin-Manuel's groundbreaking musical, Hamilton, performed on August 5th and August 6th in McAllen, Texas. And then it has a letter condemning the performance. With this tweet, Miranda shared a statement from the Dramatists Guild released late on Tuesday that condemns the brazen infringement of the massively popular musical, as well as its quote unquote rewriting of the text without authorial consent. The Hamilton controversy started over the weekend when clips from the production went viral on social media. I'm not surprised it went viral. Users quickly criticized the show's altered text, which included such lines as, "My hope is in Jesus. If you could just give him a chance today, that would be enough." Look, you can do most things that you want to do at church. Religious freedom is a thing, but what you cannot do is violate copyright and then go the extra step of altering it. That's not going to work. One person also noted that the church's performance ended with a reference to people, quote unquote, struggling with homosexuality. I did not go deep into these clips. Again, I am interested in the copyright and what has happened afterwards, and that's what I'm diving into. But that's there. On Monday, as reported, and it also gives context to what happens next. On Monday, as reported by multiple outlets, the producers of Hamilton confirmed that the production had not been licensed and that a cease and desist had been sent. The cease and desist is the knock it the fuck off letter. So your cease and desist is pardon. Oh, by the way, you may not be aware that we have lawyers and legal rights, but let us make you aware that we have lawyers and legal rights. And if you don't knock it the fuck off, then we will unleash the lawyers and the legal rights. So Skycaster said, do schools need permission to put on plays? They do, and we will talk about that. As I wrap this story, I will talk about that. So let's see. On Monday, as reported by multiple media outlets, the producers of Hamilton confirmed that the church's production had not been licensed. Cease and desist had been sent, demanding that it stage no further performances. The church could not immediately be reached by Billboard for comment. In a statement to the Dallas Morning News, Pastor Roman Gutierrez said the church is not anti-LGBT and, quote, everyone is always welcome. The pastor also told the newspaper that he had secured legal permission to produce the show. From who, though? Because the production said that they did not. A claim directly refuted by Hamilton's producers and Miranda. If actually unlicensed, the producers behind Hamilton will have legal grounds to file a copyright infringement lawsuit. Yes, they will. And they will probably win because it is a public performance. You have to have licensing for public performances. So before we get to the resolution, because Skycaster asked a great question, yes, schools need permission from elementary school through high schools all the way up. Sometimes they get permission in an altered format. When schools are producing like High School Musical, if they're getting permission, I think there is like a school version. The chat might also know, anyone who works in theater in the chat, but yes, you have to get permission. There are ways to get permission, and there are things that you can perform and not perform. And even stuff with band, you have to get licensing for a halftime show, music you play in the stands, stuff like that. So let us continue with the resolution. You know, I love a case when it's like, this is what happened and this is the resolution, because it's just, we get to evaluate it all at once. And I haven't seen this widely reported. Also, I am so annoyed with Rolling Stone. I finally broke down and got a subscription because I do like the reporting. But even though I'm paying for a subscription, their website is still chock the fuck full of ads. Stop it. Stop. If you want to be ad supported, it's fine. I'm ad supported. I completely appreciate being ad supported, but now I have paid. So can we not? Can we just? It's like I'm paying to get behind the play walls. Hamilton donates damages paid by Texas church for unauthorized production to gay rights organizations. Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did. Which is kind of just poetic. The church apologized for putting on a production of Hamilton that changed its contents to include homophobic commentary. Weeks after putting on a production of Hamilton without permission and lacing it with homophobic teachings, the church in Texas has apologized. The church will also pay damages to Hamilton's creators, probably the licensing fee. So they're like, okay, we're just going to take the licensing fee and give it back on the cease and desist. You won't sue us. We'll just be done. Also, suing a church that's a not-for-profit is going to be timely, expensive, and you're not going to get anything out of it, right? How much money are you going to, well, I don't know. It depends on the church, I suppose. How much money are you going to end up getting? So let's see. The church will also pay damages to Hamilton's creators. Hamilton will donate the money, not pledge, donate. They will donate the money to support a local gay rights organization. And that's, you know what? Hamilton Production is like, we don't really need your licensing fee, and we're going to make sure that that licensing fee gets exactly to where it should go. So on Tuesday, non-denominational church issued a statement on Instagram apologizing for its actions and putting on the play. In the statement, the church's pastor personally apologized to Lin-Manuel Miranda and the people behind the iconic Broadway musical for using its lyrics and dialogue and changing them without permission. Well, and using it without permission. We acknowledge that there are lawful avenues to obtain a license. Then why did you say earlier you had one? We acknowledge that there are lawful avenues to obtain a license to stage properties, which we did not pursue, the pastor wrote, and it is never permissible to alter an artistic work such as Hamilton without legal permission. Should we read the rest of the statement? I think we should. I think we should read the rest of the statement. Well, we need more coffee for this. On behalf, I'm just going with church. On behalf of the church, I would like to personally apologize. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this because you're law nerds, but also I feel like more and more I have to say this. Look, the church has apologized. The church is sending money to Hamilton. They've dealt with the cease and desist. The internet doesn't need to deal with this. This has been dealt with. The internet was like, hey, fuckery. And then the production of Hamilton was like, yes, thank you for pointing that to our attention. This is how this should work. The internet goes, hey, there's fuckery. And then the owners of the intellectual property went, aha, we do see fuckery. Let us get our lawyers. We are going to get the lawyers. The lawyers are going to say, hey, knock it off. And then social media is going to be like, hey, knock it off. And then the church comes out and apologizes. They're going to pay. That money's going to charity. So no other action needs to be taken. Social media raised and sounded the alarm and brought it to people's attention, and then it was handled. So even though this church's name is everywhere, the internet doesn't need to do more. I always worry about people taking it so real world. This worked. Social media said, fuckery is afoot, stop it. And it resolved in like a week. So there's really no need to take these things real world. And that worries me for all of the people that, you know, that take things just too far when you take things online real world. And this has been handled. Calling out fuckery is fine. Call it out. No need to take it real world, which is part of why I worry about the name of this church being so publicly spread, because the church having a homophobic message is not best met with real world hate or anything like that. This happened. Okay. So let us continue. I feel like more and more I have to say it. You're law nerds and you know. But things have gotten so real world with people lately, and it concerns me. I'm seeing it more and more and more, and it concerns me. It concerns me for everyone kind of caught in the middle. All right. Let's read the statement. On behalf of the church, I would like to personally apologize to the creator of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, the producers of Hamilton, and the numerous others who contributed their intellectual property to Hamilton. Like the writers. Well, I guess Lin-Manuel Miranda is the writer, but yeah. For staging an unauthorized production of Hamilton that infringed on the rights and the copyrights of many. I bet this was part of the cease and desist settlement agreement because, look, I'm in a tangent. Sorry. Once there's the cease and desist, if you're taking action like this, there's generally also going to be some kind of settlement agreement where you say, I am taking this action, releasing a statement, and that's where you will see joint statements released, releasing a statement, paying some kind of a penalty, and then there will be a settlement agreement that will release the rights of Hamilton to bring a further lawsuit. So this is likely part of any settlement agreement because you get the cease and desist, and then you get a resolution, and then that's all signed so that they don't, apologize and pay, and then Hamilton comes back around and sues them. So that's part of why I think this is probably a mutually agreed upon settlement statement. The church did not ask for or receive a license, because they're spelling it out in legal terms, and they've also said intellectual property already once. That's why I think that lawyers approved this statement, like all the lawyers, the Hamilton lawyers included. Or the Hamilton lawyers wrote it and was like, this is your public apology. The church did not ask for or receive a license from the producers or creators of Hamilton to reproduce, stage, replicate, or alter any part of Hamilton, nor did we seek prior permission to alter Lin-Manuel Miranda's work by changing the music, the lyrics, deleting songs, and adding dialogue. What songs did they delete? Guess in the chat. What chat? Hi, chat's so wise. What songs did you think they delete? What do you think they left out of the story of Hamilton? I have some thoughts. Because Hamilton could get a little spicy. We respect the copyrights of Hamilton's author and contributors. Those copyrights are protected by federal law. This is totally a lawyer statement. We acknowledge there are lawful avenues to obtain a license to stage properties, which we did not pursue, and it is never permissible to alter an artistic work such as Hamilton without legal permission. This is a signal. This is a signal to everyone else that this is not okay. This is a teaching moment. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. It has to be say no to this. It has to be. It has to be. It has to be say no to this, right? Or the entire Maria Reynolds. Yeah, it could be the entire storyline. True. All right. Let's see. I recognize as the pastor of the church that I have an obligation and responsibility to follow the law and educate our community about these protocols. Our ministry will use this moment as a learning opportunity about protected artistic works and intellectual property. If people started rewriting the Bible, but probably outside of copyright. Anyway, that's a whole nother question about historical documents. Anyway, on behalf of the church, we agree we will never stage the performance again and will destroy any and all video and sound recordings and images of the unauthorized performances or rehearsals, and request that all members do the same. Lastly, we will pay damages for our actions. This is a settlement. This is an absolute settlement. Let's see. We went to that. Clips of the altered play went viral on Twitter earlier this month. The church's original included a sermon that explained that God could cure people of their homosexuality and their issues with drugs and alcohol. It also added messages about Jesus. Okay, so there we go. There we go. The Hamilton, that was written like a joint settlement agreement, but not really. That was just written for, this is the settlement, this is the end, we are paying, they've said they're donating the money, and this is done. So no lawsuit, technically no lawsuit. And there we go. So Hamilton was illegally performed twice, and it is all been resolved. Shall we talk about Tay-Tay? We need to talk about Taylor Swift. All right. Lee Hamilton, I've got to be honest, your username is what caught my eye when I was looking at when I was written at the back. You guys are already like, but the Bible has been rewritten. I am definitely not a religious scholar. I'm just saying, it was a bad example. Yes. I don't have a better example off the top of my head. We were talking about church. They're not all good examples. And when I try to illustrate a point, the church knew this. They have to pay fees for choirs to use music during church. This is an excellent point. They probably thought no one would know. Question, what does it mean for Taylor Swift as in money-wise being sued this many times? It means she spends a lot of money on lawyers, but she's an artist. She's going to have to, when you are that level of famous, you're just going to have to spend that. You're just going to have to spend money on lawyers. It's part of her annual business budget. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. This is a first look for me, so we're taking a first look. We're going to just get into it. We need to do a whole Taylor Swift episode because it's been a while and there's been a couple new lawsuits. So this first report is coming to us from Bloomberg Law. I'm going to pull the I'm going to pull the case as it gets going, because this is going to go into my Taylor Swift hopper when we get into copyrights. It's always copyrights. And we'll take a look. This time it's copyrights over Lover. Taylor Swift faces $1 million copyright suit over Lover book. Taylor Swift's Lover broke records, becoming the top-selling album of 2019 in its first week. 3 years later, Swift is facing a copyright infringement lawsuit over the book that accompanied her album. Author Teresa Ledart, whose book, quote-unquote, Lover, was published in 2010, filed a lawsuit in the Western District of Tennessee, well, this is where Swift lives, on Tuesday. So this happened literally this week, claiming that the singer-songwriter stole the book's title as well as several of its creative elements. Okay. If this whole thing is over the book title, we might just stop here. It is a one-word title that is not particularly descriptive. Are they also suing Virginia? I've heard it's for lovers as well. There has to be more. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. I want to know if they're suing the state of Virginia. I want to know. Let's just. All right. This is saying copyright infringement. Ledart alleges that Swift's book has substantially the same format and front and back covers as hers, as well as words are hard, as well as a similarly styled Lover title and similar color scheme, according to the complaint. That is trademark. That's trademark. That's not copyright though, bro. Let's see if this complaint pulls up. Oh, it's going to take me away from my article. Don't do that. But here it is. Oh, we've got to open the article in a new window. Hold on. We're going to open the article again in a new window. We're going to finish the article and then we're going to go back to Bloomberg Law and look at this complaint, because there better be a trademark in there somewhere. Then we need to look at the covers of the books. This was supposed to be a quick bit, but anytime we get to look at pictures together, we're just going to do that because the pictures aren't here in the article. Put the pictures in the article, Bloomberg. I appreciate you attaching the complaint, though. Maybe the complaint has the pictures. Maybe the complaint has the pictures. Let's see. Ledart is suing Swift for damages in excess of $1 million, claiming that she has been irreparably, damn it, that's user error, irreparably harmed and suffered both actual and statutory damages. This is far from Swift's first run-in with copyright infringement. That's an understatement. She's currently fighting accusations regarding her hit song Shake It Off by two members of the band 3LW, who claimed that the lyric "player's gonna play" is too similar to their "player's gonna play." Swift successfully defended herself against similar claims by R&B and soul artist Jesse Graham over the same song. We're just going to breathe. Okay, we're going to pull up this complaint. We're going to see if there's pictures. The difference between trademark and copyright, and there are lots of room where they overlap, but trademark it can get into the look and feel of a thing. Copyright doesn't get into the look and feel. It's copyright in this context is looking at the word lover, not the stylization of it. That doesn't mean that the article wasn't pared down, which is why we're going to the source material. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick peek of this. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Sorry, I can't make it much bigger. This is in Bloomberg's Law internal reader. But if you guys want to read the lawsuit here, let me copy the address and then I'm putting this in the chat, and then I'll put it also in the description of the video so that if you guys want to go pull this for yourself from Bloomberg, you are able to, if you want to look at the lawsuit for yourself. Okay. This is an action for copyright infringement. It stops there. Facts. The book Lover was written by TLD over a number of years with the financial complaint, with the final completion of writings and cover and internal designs and arrangements completed and published on in 2010. The full book was registered for copyright. Yeah, but we're looking at the title. It is plaintiff's view that the scope of the 2010 copyright registration for the full work includes the entirety of the book, including all design and textual elements thereof. We're going to have some legal issues on that theory. The Swift and TSP Lover book was released as part of Swift's Lover album on August 23rd, 2019, with all credits for design and textual elements claimed as works by Swift and or Taylor Swift Productions. I just want to, damn it, Jim, put in the, look, attorneys, I know you're doing like the work and I get it. But also, if you're saying that they are the same, put pictures. Put in the pictures. Put in the pictures, which aren't here. This is factually scant. It is scantily clad of facts. Let's see. Upon information and belief, the Swift Lover book has achieved considerable sales in association with the album. Is it sold independently of the album? Is it sold independently of the album? Because if it's not sold independently of the album, first of all, stop it. If this is a book traditionally sold versus a book that is a compilation as part of the album, I have questions. The pictures are on the right. Where? I don't see them. I don't see them. I don't see them. Oh, exhibits. We'll get there. Thank you. I think these are just the copyright registrations, though. I don't think they're the pictures. You guys are asking if it comes in a rectangular pink box. Probably. Let's see who else is going to sue. Tiffany S says, no, it was an album as a set exclusively at Target. Yeah, we will go look at exhibits for sure. We're going to do that. It comes with the CD, not separate. This is a whole much bigger part. You guys have already done the research. You're like, we already know it's part 4. Perfect. We're going to pull up the pictures. It's scantily clad of facts. So this is really a book that accompanies an album. These are album sales. So statistically, the Swift and stylistically, the Swift Lover book includes creative elements that are not typical of or present with other published books, and as compared with the TLD work, leaves the overall impression that the Swift Lover book is, again, substantially similar. Those are trademarky words, not copyrighty words. All right, let's see. Exhibit of copyright registration. This registers the guts of your book. This is your book, the words that you say. And I am just, okay. Exhibit elements comparison. Thank you. All right, so this is the poetry Lover book. This was 2010. This was 2010. I don't want to be mean, but this is giving MS Paint vibes for me. Like, not to be mean. Everyone gets to choose their own thing. But this, okay. No, stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. Just stop. Just stop it. Just stop it. Just stop. Just stop it. Stop it. This is the book that came with the album. And then this is the other book. Stop it. I mean, I'm sure she and her dog are lovely. Stop it. Stop it with this immediately. Also, you're trying to protect things protected by trademark. I assume that the reason they're not going for trademark is 1, these aren't going to be nearly close enough. And 2, it's probably not at all the same. And 3, your copyright on your book does not protect your trade dress, essentially. But just stop it. We're not going any further on this lawsuit. Just get out. But the thing is, when you sue for something like this, A, it gets press because of course it's Taylor Swift, and B, it still costs Taylor Swift money. just stop it with this. Like, when there are we just looked at legitimate infringement of artistic works, Scamilton, and a copyright lawsuit over a book cover and book title, which is not even copyrighted, and saying that these are substantially similar elements. Whoever is the designer for Taylor Swift's book cover, because I know that she had a professional designer do that, is screaming, these are not the fucking same. Screaming that these are not the fucking same. No. I hate this lawsuit. Get rid of it immediately. Girl, bye. I hate it so much. I hate all of it. I hate it. I forgot to turn off my voice changer. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, y'all, with that, I should actually remind you to do the YouTube likey and subscribey things. Because YouTube is like, we don't know her anymore. So don't forget to do the YouTube subscribey things. And let's see, we're gonna get into this Kobe Bryant case, and then we are going to get to your questions. Did we just bang? No, we banged at 666 because YouTube has just been like, we don't even know her anymore. So reverse bang, yes, which is fine because you take a week off and things happen. So don't forget to do the likey subscribey thing so we can bing back at 667 again. We bing both ways. All right, you guys, ready? Let's talk about this Vanessa Bryant. And it's hard to go from being cheeky on a case because we get to be a little cheeky about Hamilton and Taylor Swift to being kind of outraged and deadly fucking serious. But that's what we do here. We talk about all kinds of things. Alrighty. Let us get into the jury verdict from the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash case. Yes, there were others involved. I'm always torn when we talk about a case where a public figure, a celebrity, somebody with a high profile is killed, and it's always like, and others. And part of me is always like, they have names and lives of families. And then part of me is like, but maybe the anonymity of being and others helps keep a little bit of anonymity. So I'm never sure how to address, because there's a part of me that's like, there were more people in that helicopter, a lot more families in that helicopter than just Kobe Bryant. And it's always Kobe Bryant and others. But when, yeah, but then the thing is, what about the protection of maybe not constantly having their names in the news? So I'm always torn about that. Truly. We're going to look at first the proposed verdict forms, because the proposed verdict forms are going to go through what the jury had to find and the breakdown of the funds. We do not have, or at least as of prepping this, we did not have the completed verdict forms to see how things were apportioned. When we get that, we will. There are two families that already settled this case. Each of the two families that settled for $1.25 million each from the county. And the families that chose to go to trial, which was Vanessa Bryant on behalf of herself, and then Christopher Chester, who lost his wife and daughter as well. They were the two that decided to go to trial. So there were four families in the helicopter, two settled, and again, completely their right to do so, and two that decided to go to trial. Everybody gets to make these choices. It is absolutely their choice to make. Trial can be expensive. It is emotionally gut-wrenching, and this would have been a particularly difficult trial to sit through, given the context of this case. So never any shade to anyone who settled. Sometimes settling for your own mental health and protecting your family is just what you need to do. So Hopefully they made the best decision they could at the time with the information they had, the bandwidth they had, and hopefully they don't feel regret over this jury verdict. I hope. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at these were proposed. Now, asterisks, note, I need an asterisk sound. We're just going to use this for everything. Asterisks. These could still change when they are given to the jury. These are the proposed verdict forms, but they are going to be close to what the court got. So until we see the final one, we don't know what the final was. We don't have the final yet. It's not updated. So these are proposed. That's the caveat. All right. Plaintiff Christopher Chester's claim against defendant Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Question 1. On the claim of plaintiff Christopher L. Chester against defendant County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Department for violation of his constitutional rights, Section 1983, based on a policy that fails to prevent violations of law by its employees or a failure to train its employees, we, the undersigned jurors, unanimously find in favor of plaintiff or defendant. Proceed to question 2. So they're going to have to check these again. Question 2, on the claim from plaintiff against sheriffs for violation of their constitutional rights, Section 1983, based on a practice or custom, we find unanimously in favor of plaintiff or defendant. If you found in favor of plaintiff on question 1 or question 2 or both, answer question 3. Otherwise, skip question number 3 and proceed to question 4. If you found in favor of plaintiff on his claim against defendant, enter the amount of damages you award. So here's the damages awards. This will be broken out. We don't know how it's split yet. We know that the total was $15 million, but we don't know how they did this. Past physical, mental, and emotional pain and suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, humiliation, grief, anxiety, and emotional distress. So that's what has happened up until trial. And then future physical, mental, and emotional pain, suffering, loss of enjoyment. So having to live with this going forward. Defendant's proposed general verdict form, question number 1 on the claim, and then you see where the differences in language are. So the court will pick between the two with these differences in language. I am not pulling the one for Vanessa Bryant. I did not see it as readily available as this one. I imagine it will be similar, but it will add the IIED to it. And so once we get these final forms, we will take a look at them. But I thought it might help to go through and look at generally what they're breaking down for past damages and then future damages. Now let's take a look at kind of a breakdown of this jury award. Again, I'm not surprised by this. I put out a YouTube Shorts over on my Shorts channel. Yes, I have a Shorts channel because I put those on Instagram and TikTok, but I know a lot of you on the YouTubes do not use other social media platforms. I need to do that too. I'm getting there. I'm getting there, but I put those on the Shorts channel. So for those of you that are like, I just live on the YouTubes, totally fine. Me too. And that's over on Emily D. Baker Quick Bits. So I put up a short. I'm not surprised by this. Not at all. Not at all. Kobe Bryant jury awards families $31 million over crash pictures. A California federal jury awarded $31 million Wednesday to families of the victims of the helicopter crash. I want to know how long they deliberated for. It couldn't have been that long. I'm going to do a breakdown of this on next week's podcast and talk about the causes of action. It's been a while since we did that. The causes of action that went to trial, some of the testimony that I thought was very powerful, and then this jury award. The jury returned the verdict on the 11th day of trial after 4 hours of deliberating. That was information I was very interested to see. I said that the jury was going to think that this is horrific just by looking at the testimony, and they did. 4 hours of deliberating is a very, very quick verdict after 11 days of trial. Awarding $16 million to Kobe Bryant's widow, Vanessa Bryant, and $15 million to Christopher Chester, who lost his wife and daughter in the January 2020 crash. The verdict brings to a close a somber, emotional trial that saw Vanessa Bryant and Kobe Bryant's best friend, LA Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka, sob on the witness stand as they recount the crash and the effects of first responders sharing photos of the bodies for what appeared to be illegitimate and macabre purposes. Yeah, it's fucking appalling The trial also included gruesome details about the state in which the bodies were found after the helicopter crashed into a mountainside in Calabasas, California on a foggy Sunday morning. That is part of why families might choose not to go to trial. Absolutely part of why. Because sitting in court with those details would be very, very hard. Every person who died on that hill has the right to have their dignity preserved. Lewis Lee of law firm who represents Vanessa Bryant told the jury Wednesday during his rebuttal to the county's closing argument. Yes, humans deserve dignity. Why is that hard? This shouldn't be hard. It just shouldn't be hard. It just shouldn't be. Humans deserve dignity. We should be able to have conversations. This is just okay. We're going to continue on because I could just I mean, imagine it's your family. It's just and this is stuff like this is where people lose trust. And how do you not? This is not the only thing. I'm definitely not saying that, but it's just you get to, it's thing after thing after thing, and you're like, why are we not treating people like people anymore? And how do we get back to treating each other with dignity? We do that. We're law nerds. This is a rhetorical question for like the larger internet and, society. And that's what I love about this community is we see dignity and we see people having conversations, even when they're hard. If we don't have hard conversations, no one learns, no one grows, and nothing changes. But you can't have hard conversations if you don't trust the person you're in a conversation with to give you dignity and hear you. Because if somebody's not going to give you dignity and you don't trust them to do that, how do you even have a conversation? I'm so annoyed. So let us continue. Vanessa Bryant broke down into tears when the verdict was read and hugged her attorneys. I'm sure she did. The jury was asked to find separately whether the LA County Fire Department and the LA County Sheriff's Department were liable for the plaintiff's emotional damages. So with regard to Vanessa Bryant, they were asked separately LAFD or LA County Sheriffs. And the jurors found the Sheriff's Department owes Bryant $10 million and the Fire Department $6 million. Chester is owed $9 million by the Sheriffs and $6 million by the Fire. And that's, was that at the end of this? It might have been. Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay. So we did not, Emily, keep reading. This is the second part of that proposed form that had this broken out by Sheriff's Department and then broken down at the end here to the Fire Department and then how much the Fire Department owed. So broken out by department, which again, all of it's going to be paid by LA County, but it should come out of other different budgets. But I believe the county, also has a certain budget to deal with lawsuits. I don't know if that goes by department or not. I don't remember. Me thinking I should just call my friends at county council and ask because I've forgotten. So let's see. Bryant owes, the Sheriff's Department. So they held the Sheriff's Department more at fault, finding them more culpable by charging them more money. Sheriff's Department, $10 million. Fire Department, $6 million. For Chester, $9 million by sheriffs and $6 million by fire. I want to thank the judge and the jury for a very fair trial. Jerome M. Jackson of the Jerome M. Jackson Law Office, who represents Chester, told Law 360. Bryant and her attorneys declined to comment. J. Mira Hashmel of law firm, who represents the county, told the jury Wednesday during her closing arguments that the allegations in the case do not rise to the level of a constitutional violation. Here's the thing, though. First of all, being the attorney for the county in this would absolutely fucking suck. But they still have a job to do. And having a job to do when you're a lawyer sometimes mean embracing the suck. Even if she is legally right, the testimony was so bad that the jury's like, yeah, I hear you, but no, this is a constitutional violation. It's disgusting. This is horrific. And you have the witnesses who saw people showing these photos around at a charity gala. That's it. That's the end. Done. You're done. Even if you are legally, technically correct. Going in to Depp v. Heard, Amber Heard had the legally stronger case. At the end of Depp v. Heard, Depp had the stronger factual case. Vanessa Bryant had the factually stronger case, even if it's legally the weaker case. And here's the thing. Jurors are people. And so if all of you were listening to this coming out going, what in the ever-loving fuck, that's horrific, fuck you, stop. You can imagine that the jurors, maybe in not that language, but that the jurors had the same response to it, being like, nope, done, I'm done. Done. It goes on to say a handful of employees acted inappropriately, and internal investigations by the departments found that some of their workers were out of line. But this is a county issue, not a violation of constitutional privacy rights. This is a pictures case. And this is why this case, I'll talk about this more in the podcast next week. This case could change quite a lot of policies. And that is where spending the money to bring a case like this, if you're Vanessa Bryant, makes a bigger impact. Because what we will see counties do is be like, do we have a policy? What is our policy? Are we now open to a constitutional violation lawsuit for something like this? It will cause departments all over the country to reevaluate how they do things. And that is how law changes. That is how policies change. And hopefully that is how things get better. They say that this is a pictures case where there are no pictures, Hashmel told the jury, while emphasizing that the photos in question have never been posted publicly online. It's the fear of the thing. And that it was only, it was only through the efforts of Fire and Sheriff's Department that they were all safely deleted from any first responders' phones. That's a little too late in a closing argument. But the jury did not see it that way. Well, neither did we up here in the chat. And found both county agencies either failed to have policies to adequately prevent violations of law by its employees or failed to train its employees. Departments need to pay attention to this. The jury also found that Sheriff's Department had a longstanding custom and practice of publicly disseminating photos of deceased people, but that the Fire Department did not. Either finding would have resulted in liability for the county defendants. The jurors could have been swayed by evidence, including testimony from LA Sheriff's Department Sheriff Alex Villanueva, that there was a longstanding problem with deputies keeping death books filled with photos of crime victims. I didn't think this was going to get worse today. The thing that makes me sad, though, is that I'm not surprised. Sad, not surprised. Lee told the jury that the agency's policies were pure chaos and said testimony from deputies and firefighters demonstrated the confusion over what policies were in place regarding close-up photos of human remains. Look. But again, not surprised, because I understand the dark sense of humor. This does not make it okay, but I understand how law enforcement gets completely numb to the things that they see all the time. And that's why we need to have, this is larger conversations about mental health. But for first responders, there is a numbing that absolutely happens. But there should be a policy, because that's how you protect, the department and hopefully humans who deserve decency. One deputy who took photos said he would do it all over again. We're going to have to go back and look through the testimony before we do the podcast. And another said he regretted it every day that he had shared them. Many high-ranking officials told the jury that photos violated policies, but some lower-ranking members told the jury they believe they did nothing wrong in taking or sharing them. That is a system which is built to fail, the attorney said. During closing arguments Tuesday, Jackson suggested that $1 million per year for past and future suffering would be awarded, which would total $75 million considering Bryant's and Chester's expected lifespans, and then 2.5 years that had passed since the crash. So they were asking for a lot of money. Bryant's case was consolidated. I see a great question coming in from Facebook, Kelly B, and we're going to talk about that when we get to questions. I'm saving it for questions. I just wanted you to know that I saw it. Bryant's case was consolidated weeks ago with the case of Chester, who with his family also sued the county. Of course it was, because it's all the same evidence. In November, the county approved $2.5 million in payouts to others. The plaintiffs argued at trial that the photos were improperly distributed. Yep. Among more than 24 people before the county orchestrated a cover-up when word of the distribution leaked out amid reports that the photos were shown to private citizens, including a bartender and attendees of an award ceremony. This is going to rehash the case a little bit more, which we've done and will do again. But I want to make sure we get to questions, including Kelly's questions. Kelly said, was anyone fired for this disgusting behavior? I don't think anyone was fired, and I think we're seeing why. If the policies aren't clear, they can't fire an employee for if the policy is not clear, you can't fire someone for violating a policy. I know that there was administrative action and an investigation, but I didn't see that anyone was fired in looking at this. If that is incorrect, when I go back and dig through this for next week's podcast, I will update it. But I don't remember seeing anyone terminated and any reports of anyone terminated. It was, So, Missy, I get that they are desensitized, but where are their morals? That, again, a great question. But when we look at how these things happen and we look at if this becomes a culture of what's normal within a department, that's where you have a huge problem. And you've got the sheriff saying this is a culture within the department. So let's see. Sad that you need a policy to tell people to act like decent human beings while on shift in positions of trust and authority. I agree with you. So let's see. Imi said, I have a dark sense of humor after long-term mental health stuff. I would never stoop that low. Agree. And I work for government and know how to not at work. I said, yes. Anna said testimony is all over the place on the policy, and that's exactly it. Lorraine said, I would do it all over again. I need context on that, because if it's the employee who said, I was ordered to take photos, I was doing it for the crime scene and sending them back to the commander, then I would need more context around I would do it again. So that's where I would be. But we should get to questions, because I have questions, you have questions, we have questions. And as we transition out of a really heavy topic into all of the questions about everything we've come to cover, it's time for FAQ. It's time to FAQ around and find out, because we need a bumper. Look, juries more than not get it right. And I think in this case, the jury got it right. Based on everything that I've seen, I think that the jury got this one right. We are here. You guys go ahead and put a Q or a question mark in front of your question so we can do it. And yes, this conversation is bigger, I think, than just law enforcement. And I've seen some of you talking about it on the chat. You know, we saw when Michael Jackson passed, the photographers descending to get photos. We've seen particularly celebrities, though I'm sure that it happens to non-celebrities, depending on local interest as well. People wanting all of the details of everything. And we see that. We saw that happen in the in the Murdoch case with regard to the boat crash, photos of Mallory Beach when her body was being recovered, released onto the internet. We need to have more conversation about where the boundaries are around dignity and around where it's too much information, where it's transparency, where it's not transparency. And hopefully this continues to have the question. The same with Heath Ledger when he passed away and was being wheeled from the building in New York, and there are photographers descending. And Jane Mansfield as well, and the car crash with Princess Diana. It's a bigger conversation than just law enforcement. The violation feels greater when it's the fire department and the sheriffs, because there's a different level of trust there in the position than when it's paparazzi. With paparazzi, you kind of expect the worst, but I think it's okay for us all to expect better. But if there is a want to see it, then you're going to get paparazzi doing this, which is where the fear comes in that these photos could end up public at some point in the future. And it's not an unreasonable fear. I completely agree. So it's just, Anne Heche as well, literally just this month, aerial video of her being taken out on a stretcher. So yes, I think there is a different level of responsibility between being a first responder and like a paparazzi, obviously. But I also think it's time to continue to have and continue to have that conversation. And this is going to get to a question that I saw coming up from Simpin Ain't Easy. Any thoughts on Gabby Hanna? I know you guys love the internet as much as I do. I am sure most of you have seen what went down on TikTok with Gabby Hanna. This seems to be significantly informed by mental health. You know that we do not speculate about mental health. I am not a mental health professional, which is why I'm not going to talk about it. What I will say is when we're talking about kind of this voyeuristic culture of wanting to know more, especially when it's bad stuff, and just being kind of drawn into it, where are the boundaries around that? And that is really what this conversation is about. With what went on with Gabby Hanna on TikTok, I'm sure people have made videos covering it. I'm not going to address it beyond the fact that somebody took advantage of that situation and went to her house and got into her house and was filming for her house. Feels like such a violation of privacy. Probably not a legal violation of privacy, but like a human decency violation of privacy by getting into her house under a kind of a guise of, oh, I need to use the bathroom. And that's when we talk about going real world with people, when we talk about where the boundaries are, it's just getting a little too blurry. I don't know if technology has made information easier, if there is just this a constant want to know. And I don't know what the answers are other than to keep having conversations about it. And I see you guys in the chat talking about 9/11. Here's the thing with 9/11, the kind of trauma video of things happening kept playing and playing and playing and playing during that time. And Lee Rogers brought up in the chat, kind of like the George Floyd video, you couldn't escape it. You couldn't escape it. We watched someone killed on television. And where, again, between transparency, and transparency is why that went to trial, because there was video. So between transparency for the public and just the trauma of it all is a really difficult boundary. And where are the boundaries on that? Who said Kate? Gabby, I don't think Gabby knew him. From everything I've seen, he was a stranger that Googled her address on the internet. So, question, Andrea. So that's me addressing why there's nothing for me to give info on really with regard to Gabby Hanna much more. Question regarding the Kobe photos not violating policy. How is it not an improper release of evidence? Because they weren't evidence. There wasn't a crime. It was a crash and they were taken on personal cell phones. Or does it have to be entered as such to be considered evidence? Um, Not really entered, but it was photos taken on personal cell phones. And so that is that's part of what the problem was, because it didn't seem to really strictly violate a policy. If it had violated a policy, people probably could have been fired over it, but it seems that it did not. So let's see. Comment really from Kyle. In Dallas, we had clear policies and pictures edits to protect identity, limit use after actions, continuing education. Any publication was reprimanded. And there should be clear policies everywhere. And it seems like the sheriff's department didn't have those. I mean, some of the agencies I worked with, I was like, are there photos? And they're like, no. I'm like, why? And they're like, because we don't have a camera in our vehicle. We couldn't get CSI out to take photos, and we can't take photos on our personal cell phones. And so there were some cases where there were just no photos because they couldn't get photos, but they knew. So yeah, again, dignity. And the sheriff's department is, I imagine, going to have policies put in place. And if I'm the County of Los Angeles Board of Supervisors, I'm going to make sure that there is oversight with the sheriff's department to make sure they fix it, because the county is going to be footing the bill, and this will probably come out of the sheriff's budget, which then could, in theory, put citizens in LA at risk if you have less sheriff's deputies with less ability to investigate because they are paying out for stuff that should never have happened. Then the citizens end up paying both ways. So it's hard stuff. I don't know where the boundaries of these things are. I truly don't. And I'm not trying to set them, because I am definitely not an expert, but I think the conversation, helps. And I think having the conversation helps. So that, hopefully having the conversation helps, because it's the things we need to think of. And how do we think of it all together if we don't talk about it? Anyway, it's sad. A lot of this is just really sad. This is not sad. Amber, shout out to my cousin Erica. That's the shout out to your cousin Erica, because we just needed to lighten the mood a little bit, and a shout out is great. Check out Macross plus anime regarding AI musician. I will, absolutely. This is a full rabbit hole for me. This is a full ADHD I need to investigate. I want to know more. And I want to know more about the legal side of where we get with if algorithms are creating music or movies, and who owns the rights, and who's the employee if a record label is signing a deal with a non-sentient being. Like, where do we go with this? Is it a program? What is it? So I don't know. So let's see. Kevin asked questions. Are you watching She-Hulk? If so, thoughts. I have not yet watched She-Hulk. I was going to ask over on the Patreon if you guys want an I Have Thoughts episode of me breaking down She-Hulk. I will ask if that's something people are interested in. I have not watched it yet. I told you at the beginning of the show what we had going on over here. I haven't I've not watched much TV lately. I'm not even caught up on Housewives this week. I'm caught up on people attacking Garcelle's son on Instagram because I was fucking horrified, but I am not caught up on what has happened on like literally any shows. So that's where I'm at. Question, have you rectified the Princess Bride problem yet? And if so, what did Dr. B and the kiddo think? I have not rectified the Princess Bride problem yet. If you guys don't follow me on the Instagram, I think I talked about it over here, but I don't remember. Dr. B has never seen The Princess Bride. I don't know how this has happened, but it has happened. I feel like this is a personal failure of mine that my husband and my kid have not seen The Princess Bride. So we are doing that this weekend because there's a lot of school things happening this week. So we have not, but on Tuesday, I will let you know. And I'll probably update you on social as well at some point. Debbie, D.O.B., thank you for all you do. Law nerds are the best. Emily, I made some embroidery art. I sent you a DM on Instagram. I will go look. I have not been in my DMs a lot. Just. Aaron said trial throwback, the dog should sue. I mean, if we are depending on what trial we were talking about, I mean, yes, always. JJL said, in my opinion, I think this, I don't understand about the AI dominance. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't. Kyle said, my daughter, Sable Breeze, credits everyone, including the engineer, as an arranger. Find her on all streaming, EP, and social media platforms. Kyle, I appreciate the hustle. Her songs will move you, make you cry, and sometimes laugh, as all good music should. So thank you. Even if you do license musical, you need to have all changes approved by the original license holder, or you are in violation of your contracts. Yes. When you license something, you have to perform the thing you are licensed. Hi, what about the Netflix and Bridgerton issue? Is this the same? This one's different. I covered that. I don't remember which date I covered it on, but I did cover the Bridgerton one. That one's not done yet. And the Bridgerton one has a little more quirks to it, because with the Bridgerton one, there seems to be some potentially tacit agreement where it seems like they might have given permission for a one-off, but what are the boundaries of permission? It's a lot more gray than just you went ahead and did this. So the Bridgerton one has a little more legal quirks to it. So, oh, please don't use the horn. My dogs have run for the hills. Mike, I'm so sorry. I'll give a heads up next time I use the horns. I will do that. I will do that. Question. Do you have an annual membership instead of a monthly? I couldn't find it and want to check. I hope you get to check your P.O. box soon. Kim, I hope I get to check my P.O. box soon too. And on YouTube, they don't give that option. On Patreon, that is an option for the annual. So yes, YouTube completely controls the YouTube memberships. I don't have control of that. Karen, I appreciate the comment. The church took their shot. They are. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda's like, I'm not throwing away my shot to tell people that this is not what we're going to do. AD Kemet said, us, we have dignity. Also us, hashtag would daddy stack. Yes, we also have a sense of humor. I also think humor and dignity can coexist. I think y'all do too. So, Maddie says, law nerds, I start school on the 20th. Yay. Exciting. The Princess Bride is the biggest cliffhanger of the channel, even bigger than the Depp trial verdict. I think so too. Question, whatever happened to the Supreme Court copyright case? It's not done yet. The Warhol case, the Warhol Prince case is not done yet. We're going to keep covering it. I'm fascinated by it. So let's see. Music to my soul. I feel the same way about cable TV, Emily. I already paid. Why am I seeing these commercials? Right. Even with, I had once upon a time paid for the non-commercial option on like Hulu or something, because again, I thought it was going to be like YouTube Premium. Sure isn't. Hippo Mama, yay, I'm here while you were live. But I need to rewatch from the beginning. That's okay. You can do that now or later. It's fine. Razor Blade, I am so sorry for your loss. I protected my father when I found him because it was no one's business but mine and law enforcement. Yes. And I think that is completely fine, though very, very difficult for you, I am sure. Cola Cross said, question, did the sheriffs ever talk about what they have done to stop this disgusting culture of taking these kind of pictures? I don't know if they have. I don't know. But as I speculated earlier, once this judgment came down, we're going to, I'm sure, see the county board of supervisors overlooking what is being done to change. Jonathan, what would have happened if the Hamilton play was done and altered in a different country? Would that be too complicated to litigate? I think, based on the size of the production, that they could have still kind of reached out to deal with it, because I imagine that they've distributed it, especially with the Disney Plus deal, distributed it worldwide. So I would imagine that they would have some licensing rights worldwide and they would deal with it not in the US, but in the country where it went on. But different countries have different copyright rules. Most are much more strict than the US from my exploration of copyright system. Something YouTube has to deal with quite a lot is that copyright rules elsewhere are much stronger. So that is a whole thing too. Samantha asked a great question. I'm 22 and just got chosen for jury duty. I'm nervous and terrified. Any tips? Don't be nervous. Don't be terrified. You are the one in demand there. Be curious and excited and just be like, what's going to happen? Yes, you're going to lose a day, possibly more of your time. The people watching is top. You get to see the lawyers in real time and you get to learn a lot. So I would take it as a learning experience and just answer things truthfully. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So yes, that's it. No need to be nervous. The lawyers won't be mean. They can't be. They need you to vote for them. Essentially, at the end of the day, the lawyers are like, vote for L. Avid reader question for Hamilton. Could the church have tried to claim parody? It doesn't seem that they changed it enough to really do a parody. It's probably appropriate that they just said, our bad, and resolved it. So, Holy, what about body cam footage from the accidents? I don't know if there was body cam footage. I've not seen it addressed in any of the coverage because this coverage was only of the photos that were then being shared out in public. Body cam footage isn't going to be shared out in public like that. It's stored on different computers. Deputies don't have access to it that way. So I've seen no conversation about that. Bjorn asked a fantastic question. Anything on Brittany's hearing yesterday? No. I haven't seen anything yet, was unable to travel due to, everything that's been going on this month. And I don't know. I have seen no tweets from people who were in court. I've seen no coverage of it. I don't know if Liz Day was in court. It seemed that the reporter who's normally there from, I think it's Vanity Fair, it could be Variety, wasn't in court because that reporter normally tweets. And I have not seen much. This court hearing was really to talk about if Lou M. Taylor and TriStar and Robin Greenhill are going to have to be deposed in the scope of that. I hope we will see some reporting when we get the minute orders. I'll cover them probably on Tuesday. They weren't up yet today. Starshine, they knew taking pictures was wrong. They used personal cell phones instead of work cell phones, puts them outside of public records requests. And I think they didn't see them as being taken for work purposes. Question, you and others said this was a crime scene. I did not say it was a crime scene. I think, Charlene, I think what I said is it was not a crime scene. And that's why we don't have some of the bounds. It is an accident scene. So if I said it was a crime scene or being investigated as a crime scene, I misspoke. So thank you for letting me clear that up. Dragon Mystic, what do they consider to be inappropriate behavior? HR needs to sort this shiz out. Yes, the LA County Sheriff's Department is a large department and they need probably a good look at their policies to consider times have changed. If their photo policy was written in a time when we were talking about cameras and not cell phones, and they haven't really truly reevaluated it, now is the time. Question, why does custody matter between Brad and Angelina if all of their children are 14 and older? Because someone still has to be the legal the legal guardian, the legal parent. Someone still has to make medical decisions. Someone still has to have rights and control over those types of things. And that is either shared physical custody, 50-50, decision-making power, 50-50, or not. And that is what they're still fighting over. So why does it matter? Because they're not 18 yet. So someone still has to make those decisions. Jennifer Holler, aren't all first responders held to HIPAA laws? And wouldn't death be a medical condition? I am not a HIPAA expert. I have not researched how it extends to first responders. I have not seen it extend past medical providers. First responders are definitely not medical providers, but again, outside my area of expertise. Question, do we know for a fact that there wasn't a crime? Wasn't there an investigation to rule out negligence by the helicopter operator? And again, when we're looking at like negligent crimes and accidents, I think when they were investigating negligence, they were, of course, the Transportation Bureau and Aviation are going to look into how this happened, but I don't think they were looking at whether this was a crime that you were going to be prosecuting. I don't think the crash was ever approached that way. Did you see Rosendaddy's tweet to Brittany? I sent it to your DMs. I know Brittany I will go look real quick. I know Brittany just deactivated her Instagram, but has new music coming out. And I've seen people deactivate all kinds of things when they have new music coming out. So it didn't really surprise me, but let me go take a look real quick. Amber, and see if I see it. Let's see. This is from the parody account, Matthew Rosengard's investigative assistant. So that's from the parody account. But I do see it now, and it says, "Love you so much, Brittany. We see you, we hear you, we are listening. Whatever you feel, it's okay. Let it be out." Because what Brittany tweeted out was, and let's go ahead and see if I can share this. Like actually decently share this. Where'd it go? I've lost it. Let's see. Brittany's tweeting about her new music. So let's go pull that up. But no, that was from the Rosengart parody account. Let's see. Aha. There we go. This was Okie Dokie, my first song in 6 years. It's pretty damn cool that I'm singing with one of the most classic men of our time, Elton John. I'm kind of overwhelmed. It's a big deal to me. I'm meditating more, and learning my space is valuable and precious. For all of us. I'm learning every day is a clean slate and try to be a better person and do what makes me happy. Yes, I chose happiness today. I tell myself every day to let go of the hurt, bitterness, and to try to forgive myself and others to what may have been hurtful. I want to be fearless like when I was younger and not be so scared. I mean, the amount of trauma this woman has been through, I can imagine it would be hard to be fearless after that. I pray there actually is truth to the Holy Spirit, and I hope that the Spirit is with my children as well. Yes, I choose happiness and joy today. And then put that on Twitter and apparently deleted Instagram. But you know what? You get to choose joy. That's the great thing about this life. And we've got new music from Brittany coming tomorrow. So let's see. Question, does LA County have insurance that would cover this judgment? I have no idea how the county, I believe they've got it set aside in budget. I don't know if government agencies can have insurance like an individual person would to cover lawsuits. I can't imagine they would want to do that. Let's see. I fear Brittany will be attacked on Twitter. I don't like the platform. As Brittany says, it's toxic. Right? Because somebody's just going to say, people, Twitter is, hey, I like apples. And people are like, fuck you. What about oranges? It can make Twitter difficult. But hopefully she's able to put her thoughts there and just be off of Twitter and then be okay. Question, thoughts on the Kylie Rodney disappearance? Things appear off. I don't know enough about it. Again, hasn't been investigated. Don't know enough about it. Don't know if there is foul play at afoot. It seems that they've been located. I have not watched the YouTube channel that helped with the recovery. I don't know if they put a video on it. I saw that they put a statement on it. So I am not looking for more there at this point. If something comes up in court, I will look at it again. So that's where I'm at. Why did you create t-shirts for Control F Yourself? What's the story behind it? It happened during a live stream as the chat was trying to teach me how to find information in a document. We have Command F Yourself shirts coming out. And because it's kind of cheeky, those who know what it means know that it means like search and find. But some people read it as like go F yourself, which is also kind of funny to me. So that is why. It came out of a live stream, as most things do. Question, will I get in trouble for not going to jury duty? I was moving to another state when I got the mail. Final frontier, I would call them and let them know, and they can sort that out with you. Ghosting is never a good idea with legal things. I would call them and let them know. I find most jury service people to be reasonable. Just an FYI, marching band Mama's Rock, I miss it. It's a lot of work. It's great though. Why do people deactivate Twitter before new music? I don't know. I don't know the strategy behind it. Definitely not a marketing mind. I don't know. I think maybe it's because it gets headlines And it's a versus saying I have new music coming out. When people go completely dark on social or deactivate their account or delete all their pictures or whatever it is, I think it becomes a story in and of itself. Question. Is it likely that the judge in the Taylor Swift lawsuit will dismiss the claim? I mean, that is a negative ghostwriter if I ever saw one. It would be odd if the judge did it on their own motion, but we did see that in one of the Trillery lawsuits, which we will be circling back around to, don't you worry. It would be odd if the judge did that on their own motion. Will Taylor Swift bring a motion for, I'm sorry, what now? Probably. But if you bring a motion to dismiss or a demur, they often get the chance to refile. I don't know if there's any fixing this, but it doesn't mean it'll go away quickly. We saw that with the Nirvana Baby lawsuit, which we also need to check back in on. Did you see that Britney deleted her IG right after the August 24th depositions? Do you think the two are connected? I think it's more connected to her music. I think James Spears' deposition was done before the 24th. It was supposed to have been done by the 12th or 15th. And I think we'll see so much more about that. Oh, good. Circling back to Triller, we have to. There's not been anything happening. So, question. I was just diagnosed with ADHD on Tuesday. You are a big reason I went to get evaluated. Yay. Thank you. What resources do you recommend that have helped you? There are a few Instagram accounts I follow that are kind of humorous ADHD. They're always so right. Hummingbird ADHD is one of them that always has really important information. But when it comes to finding your best resources, it's really learning yourself. I found talking to other people with ADHD the most helpful, which is why I started following ADHD accounts. And there is a YouTube channel, How to ADHD, that I find very helpful. Just there are things that I will still look at a video and be like, I didn't know that was an ADHD thing. I didn't know why these things were connected. And I always find that so helpful. If you guys in the chat have any creators that you like, go ahead and put them down below. So let's see. Question. Can the first responders be sued civilly? Patricia, I didn't even look. Some of them were named in these lawsuits. The reality of the situation is that the individual first responders were at work and the county is where the money is. So I understand suing the county. Could that have happened? Yes, it could have. Do I think they're going to do that? They were named in some of it, and that's something that I hope to address more because I didn't see them on the verdict form. So I don't know if they were dismissed from the case or that wasn't pursued, but originally some of them had been named. So yes, hopefully that helps. Let's see. Question. We got to that one. That's a great question, Miranda. Be your own strong. Question. Hi, Emily. So many questions to ask you, but first, wondering if you ever do a run through on Camille's latest podcast interview. I haven't listened. So I haven't listened. I will, but I haven't listened. Question. Saw your bid on the digital artist getting signed and was wondering if you've ever seen Miku. She's a Japanese celeb that's 100% digital. I have not, but the chat let me know on Tuesday. Is there any penalty for bringing a nonsense copyright suit or patent lawsuit? You can. This varies so much by jurisdiction, but sometimes you can ask for attorney's fees depending on the jurisdiction. Sometimes not. So sometimes not. Let's see. Kristen B said, I'm learning about my ADHD all the time, and I've known for almost 10 years. It's wild. I mean, I've known since I was a teen, and it's wild. I learn all the time. And there are times that, and this is just totally honest, but there are times that learning things make me really, really sad at this age. I'm like, could I have been kinder to myself if I had just known that this wasn't something to be ashamed of, embarrassed by, where I feel like it's a personal failing, like I am like a bad person because of this or that. And I wish I had known some of that, because sometimes for me, understanding the reason behind the thing helps me go, oh, now I understand the reason. I can set aside my own harshest criticism and figure out how to work with it and work around it. So I agree. Where was it? My chat jumped. My chat jumped, but somebody was sharing the be kind to yourself advice. Be kind to yourself. And as you learn things, just be like, I know now, and we can move forward. And once you learn, you can move forward. So I love seeing you guys have a chat about that. Question, thoughts on the Harvey Weinstein appeal? I haven't seen the appeal yet. Not surprised there's an appeal. I also want to start looking into, I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in court with Scott Peterson. I want to look at that too. Question, Jolie Pitt kids were questioned about the incident, but there is nothing about that. Is that because they're under 18? There's a lot of parts to this question, and they all started going yeah in my head. Okay, so first, there was nothing in the FOIA request because the FOIA request would get all those reports, so you don't need to ask for that specifically. Second, there in some of the reporting we covered in yesterday's podcast, there was mention of the Department of Children and Family Services investigation that was concluded finding that there was no abuse of a child or anything like that. So those are kind of the two bits of information we did get, but there's nothing about what the children said because it's just subsumed within the records. Hopefully that answered the question well. So we will know. Let's see. I'm going to get to a few more questions and then it's going to be time for me to bounce. Almost at 2 hours. I know it's a quicker show today, but we've got a lot to do. Like a lot. Question, can yourself, Runkle, and Wood Daddy do a YouTube only using the soundboards?
I don't know if we could get through it. I feel like if we tried, we would just spiral into laughing, but it would be fun. I would do that. Are you planning on connecting with Atuzzi over the frivolous lawsuit against him? I generally do not, unless somebody reaches out to me, I generally don't reach out because I always feel like it's like me being like, hey, fellow YouTube creator, I know this is really fucking stressful for you. Here if you need anything. I sometimes hope that just in covering it, they will kind of see what I cover if they are interested in that. Lawsuits can be very, very overwhelming. And then if people reach out about a suit, I have to decide if I'm going to have a conversation more informally about that. Generally, I stick to talking to the lawyers on things. The lawsuit, though, has pissed me off so much that if Atuzzi was like, I have questions, here's what my advice would be. Talk to your attorney. Jurisdiction looks like an issue. You don't have to fight on every single issue. Pick the most strategic path to victory. If the state that you would remove jurisdiction to has less favorable anti-SLAPP laws, then maybe stay where you're at. That's an okay decision, and a good strategic decision. Lawyers can be expensive. It's okay to let your audience know what you're doing and that you need their support. It's absolutely okay to lean into your audience to help crowdfund that. You can also look into types of insurance, as we've seen in the Amber Heard case, that can cover you being sued for things. I ultimately think that the lawsuit doesn't feel like it's going to go the distance on someone's opinion. I'm glad that CoffeeZilla covered it, and we'll continue to see that. Question, how can we make an interview between you, Ben, Camille Vasquez, or wait? I would love for it to happen. We will see. Atuzzi has a GoFundMe for legal fees. So what I was going to do yesterday and then got derailed because of things going on at my house, I was going to clip that part of the video down and take out all of the conversation with me trying to figure out how to pronounce Atuzzi's name and put that up on QuickBits so the people who just want to see my coverage of the lawsuit can. I will link his GoFundMe to that when I put it up. Jay, when you were doing trial work, what was your favorite part of the process? I see a lot of people ask lawyers what their least favorite part is and want some positivity about it. I really enjoyed the investigative aspects early on. And it's why I liked kind of fraud and paper cases so much, because we nosy. And when you have fraud and paper cases, you get to dig into all of the paper and find connections that other people might not see. And I really enjoyed the investigative part. And then I really loved closing arguments. Like I loved crafting the bookends of my case, the opening and closing together. I thought that was great. So I enjoyed it. So with all of that, also don't forget to do the YouTube-y things. I forgot to ask. Do the YouTube-y things. YouTube's like, we don't know if she goes here. And then I'm sure others are like, wait, we don't just talk about Johnny Depp, Amber Heard all the time? No. And then they're out. So don't forget to do the YouTube-y things. I appreciate your support. Question, where are you traveling next? Next on the docket is Las Vegas. Um, and then Arizona, and then New York, and then Los Angeles. It's going to be a busy September. I'm going to be on a plane a lot. Make sure that you follow me on at least one social in case YouTube doesn't give you notifications, because disrupting the schedule always creates a little havoc over here on the YouTubes. And there's going to be a lot of schedule disruption in September, but I will always keep you guys up to date about it. Amy, question on Paul Newman's daughter suing Newman's own. I had that story pulled for today. I wanted to look into it a little bit more than doing just a quick look at it. And I think that's going to be on Tuesday. So my thoughts are, I want to know more. And that's a fair thing if someone's going against the legacy. BitBoy said he's dropping the lawsuit. I haven't seen that. If you guys see it, tag me in it. So JC, it's probably backfired well and good by now. We've Streisand affected the lawsuit, because that look, if you haven't watched it, watch it. He's like, he called me a dirtbag and my feelings are hurt, which again, name calling on the internet could absolutely hurt your feelings. It doesn't mean you can sue over it. And then it seemed in the lawsuit that the lawsuit was almost saying that BitBoy Crypto is giving financial advice, which I think could raise a lot of red flags, because he is a commentator who has financial knowledge, but not a financial advisor. Life's a journey. Did you see developments in the Alex Murdaugh case today, Court TV? I have not. I will go look. I did not. I got up, I got prepped for this and did this. So that's where we're at. Question, does LA County have a sunshine ordinance? I don't even know what a sunshine ordinance is. If so, could future cases involving these deputies, first responders result in their personal phones being subpoenaed? Like, is there a database of these kinds of things? I don't know if this would end up in the type of database that is had. However, their names are all in the media. So I imagine that most attorneys would be aware. And could that be questioned? Potentially. Not called a sunshine ordinance in California, but how far beyond like the Brady database does this go? I don't know. So I don't know. Let's see. Mods, Robin, I appreciate you asking the mods. I have been asked a lot about BJ and I do talk offline. I will ask her how she feels about me covering stuff again when I know someone. I'm gonna ask, because she's also covering her lawsuit. Lawsuits can be overwhelming. They are. Maybe it depends on which side of the table you are. No, overwhelming for everybody. Having to sue someone sucks. Getting sued sucks. Which is what I hope that I remember to reiterate every time we go over suits, is that this is not fun for anyone involved. So let's see. Summer Eve, Emily, I'm currently being harassed at my job. It's been looked into, but it's been very tough. Any experience or advice on how to survive? Get a lot of support for yourself. It is very tough. Because once you speak up, it doesn't feel like it gets better, and there's no like relief to it. And that fucking sucks. Know that it sucks. It's okay. It's not okay that it sucks. It's okay to feel all of the things that you feel. Make sure that you have support. Document everything. I would really recommend keeping a written journal of your feelings. I love writing a good fuck you letter and not sending it. Just keep a running thought of what you're going through. It is very hard. Get support. And keep going, because you're standing up for yourself. And if you can connect to that, like I am standing up for myself, and find that as the place of strength, then know that you are not allowing yourself to be silenced. And that is a very hard thing to do. A lot of people are like, I don't want to fight this fight, and will find other employment. But standing up doesn't only protect you, but it protects those that come after you. So you've got this. Find support. And it's okay sometimes when it feels like too much to just say, not today. I'm going to binge watch some TV and, play June's Journey or, whatever on your phone. Casual mobile gaming when I am done is kind of my favorite checkout. I'm like, I'm just done. Casual gaming helps. Judy, you got this. I'm 52 and still telling myself you do better when you know better. It's true. Peter Mon says it all the time. You know better to do better. Question: has Amber Heard started her appeal with her new lawyers? I'm sure they've started it. We've not seen anything get filed. When it does, we'll cover it. We've got other filings coming up. I mean, there's going to be movement on sentencing in the Jen Shaw case. There was just a new sentencing memo filed with regard to one of the co-defendants. There's going to be sentencing memos coming up in the Elizabeth Holmes case soon. There's a lot that's coming up. We're kind of in a nice little, like, not a ton of motions being filed for the cases we're covering. We get to cover some other tangential stuff, a little bit of a moment, which is nice. Emily, are you sad DMB concert season is wrapping up? Always. Have you ever been to the Gorge? Multiple times. It's a bucket list for me. Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend is amazing. It's exhausting. It's great. It's hot and sweaty. It's all the things. You've got to hydrate. It's worth it. It's a hike. Your calves will be sore for like weeks. I love Labor Day weekend. I don't always have the energy to do it. But I enjoy it. But yes, I've got one more Dave show before the end. I loved getting to see, being on this side of the country, I loved getting to see some of the shows earlier. This, I think, is one of the first years, I mean, before the vid like fucked up all concert seasons forever. I mean, among other things. It's really weird not going to shows in California. This is like one of the first seasons that I'm not going to shows in California. Be Kind said ADHD affects so many young people and children with thoughts like I'm dumb, I'm a bad person. It's a really huge issue in their lives so often. Yes, I think it impacts all of us with ADHD. There's a lot of learning that has to be undone. Like, I should be able to do this. Why is this easy for everybody? I don't know. I've tried to reframe that for me. I'm like, look, a winged liner is easy for some people and not easy for me. That really doesn't say much about me other than I'm not super skilled with a winged liner. And I try to make everything be like, look, I have some strengths. I have a lot of weaknesses. I try to lean into what I'm good at and ask for help with what I'm not good at and try to teach my kids to do the same. And then get really pissed if they ask for help and they're not given it. Question: I have been a registered voter with an up-to-date address since I was 18, now 32, and have never been pulled for jury duty. What am I doing wrong? Nothing. Luck of the draw. I don't know. Some people would say that's lucky. Often I find people who really would be interested in going to jury duty end up not getting jury duty. And they're like, but what? I would do this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I got pulled right after I left the DA's office. It was so strange. I was like, that timing's interesting. That timing's interesting. I got arrested regarding a jury duty mix-up. Definitely call them. That's good advice. Yeah, different jurisdictions will issue warrants. Christy, little bit said, oh my God, so excited. I made it to my second live stream. Cheers. So again, don't forget to do the YouTube likey, subscribey things. I'm going to go to a few more questions and then we're going to pop out. I've been saying long goodbyes forever. I would pay good money to sit on a jury. Sames. Most lawyers won't keep lawyers. I kept a lawyer once. I regretted it. Not because of the verdict. I wasn't ready for the amount of feedback I was going to get on my first ever felony trial. I was not prepared. I'm not asking you to be my mentor, bro. You're just on the jury, but thanks so much. Thanks so much for letting me know how you feel about my handwriting. It's cool. Look, we didn't have multimedia displays. What I used a lot in trial were the big old Post-it note sheets that you could flip over and then I could stick them up on the places when I'm talking about it. So let's see. Spinach, we are definitely not ADHD experts here. What I find is either small chunks or have something that you are excited to listen to or watch on your phone while you do it and be like, I can watch this thing while I'm cleaning the kitchen. I need motivational things. And there are times
when I will spend 20 minutes more to find the perfect soundtrack for what I need to get done, to find the perfect movie for what I need to get done, to scroll through my entire Audible, to find a new book, to get something done. I need a soundtrack.
There are times I have made a new playlist to motivate myself to do a task. So if audio and visual works for you, find something else to put on while you're doing it. Because I agree, my housekeeping has been sporadic, but now I do it in chunks, and I do it with, there are things I like. I like having systems. So once I have systems in place, I'm like, I want to reset the system. So small chunks help. So also, don't start a new project when they're in the middle of cleaning. I will start to clean, and then I'll be like, oh, I need to redo the cups. And then. So, Brianna asked, question, are you going to talk about the Breonna Taylor indictments? I will. I have read the indictments. I have not looked at the new guilty plea, but I absolutely will. Those all broke right as I got sick and then was offline for like a week. But I believe that Natalie Lawyer Chick has covered the indictment. I believe Nate the lawyer has covered the indictment, but I will cover the indictment because then we've got a conversation about a federal indictment versus a state level, non-prosecution after a grand jury. So we've got two different systems, and then we've got a whole lot of fuckery. So, and we've already seen one guilty plea. So yes, I will. I just have not circled back. So let's see. Chrissy said, as a paralegal, I've been called for jury duty 3 times and served every time. See, and there you go. Good advice for jury duty. Bring a book if you get summoned, because you can't be on your phone. Yeah, bring something to read. You can't be on your phone once you get into the room. Angie said, I kept getting called while on active duty. First of all, Angie, thank you for your service. I called, sent orders, etc., but always got called. Now I'm out and never get called for it. What is that? What is that unfortunate timing? It's like, I could do this now, but now I can't. So, anyway, thank you for your service, Angie. Appreciate it. Let's see. Barbara said, I spent over a year on a federal grand jury and I loved it. It was so damn interesting. I think it turned me into a law nerd. That would be fascinating. It would be absolutely fascinating to be on the grand jury panel that sits for case after case after case after case. You would absolutely learn quite a bit. So another vote for audiobooks for sure. I've been called for jury duty 6 times and they don't choose me. I've gone once. I mean, now that I've moved, I wonder if I will get called again, but I haven't. I make playlists to get myself into cleaning. There you go. I use earbuds and music for working. Me too. See, a lot of us do. Carla said, I'd love to be called for jury duty. I'm fascinated. It's very interesting. The being in the process of deliberation would be really interesting. I've been going through one of the Scott Peterson docuseries that talks to some of the defense team, including Mark Garagos and a lot of the jurors. And it's just very interesting to see them break all of it down. So Alexandria said, yes, Natalie Lawyer Chick has, and I loved her input. Natalie Lawyer Chick's fucking great. So that's part of it. I love the way she breaks things down. So I'm going to go through just a few more questions and then a question, not a virtual assistant, but an actual assistant. Have you thought of getting one? Yes, we have. Also follow through is a thing, but I had some team stuff to do for my work. So Baker Media has some team stuff that needed to be done before I can do team stuff here. But yes, I have absolutely considered it. I've just been building out the Baker Media team before the team at home. So, but yes, I have. And probably will be just for the a little bit of added support when the two of us are stretched thin. I do this too. I put on cleaning videos on YouTube to help me get through cleaning. I do too. The amount of reorganizing my desk videos I've watched. My kid came into my office the other day and he was like, oh, lo-fi. I was like, yep. He was like, I like doing work to lo-fi videos too. I'm like, me too. So when I'm doing computer work, I like having the lo-fi videos on the second monitor because there's like some movement and stuff going on. Love the music. It keeps my brain occupied and happy enough that it doesn't like tangent out into something else. So I will have to say that with audiobooks, my only problem, when I'm doing tasks, I tend to listen to books I've already heard because I will lose the details. Podcasts work for me too. I have a podcast, The Emily Show, if you want me in your ears. It's also on the YouTubes, but I have that. Emily, what courthouse in LA would you want to be a juror at? Okay, look, I'm going to just be totally honest. My decision is based on cafeterias and proximity to good lunch. Though I would probably now want to pick the location where I have a lot of friends on the bench because that would be fun too. Like the Torrance Courthouse is pretty remote from food, so no. LAX Courthouse uh, also a little bit remote from food, and the cafeteria is just a no. Long Beach has a great brand new jury room, great local eateries, and a really good cafeteria. So Long Beach would be one of them. Also, I would get to see people. Downtown LA has an easy walk to lunch, but the elevators are a freaking nightmare. The Compton Courthouse had a really good cafeteria, but elevators also a freaking nightmare. So I would want easy ingress, egress, and easy parking. The easiest courthouse, really, unless you live a million miles away from it, is Long Beach. But those are courthouses I've experienced. I've never worked in like Pomona and Antelope Valley. Santa Monica is a pretty small courthouse, proximately located to good lunch, only civil. What else? The federal courthouse downtown has pretty decent parking. I don't know about their cafeteria. That's how I make decisions. That's how we do it. Melissa, if you are in a wheelchair and get called and they let you use your chair and make you sit in the regular chairs, when we've had jurors in wheelchairs in the jury box, they've just moved the one chair. Everything has to be accessible. The witness box is included, so they just moved it. I can't speak for every courthouse across the land. Speaking of which, if you guys aren't following friend of the channel, Amy Van Dyken, American Olympian, also in a wheelchair, she has been fighting with the bridge near her home in Colorado because they've been shutting it down at night. And so she can't get back up the elevator to the bridge to get over because it has stairs. Can't get back up the elevator because they've been shutting it down at night. So if she goes out to like a baseball game or dinner with friends, she can't get back home over the train tracks. So she's been fighting locally. They sent her the most horrific email and said, "We know this might be inconvenient for you." It's like, it's not an inconvenience to not be able to get home. That goes beyond inconvenience. So she's been fighting locally with the company that's shutting down the elevator. It's been on the news. They reached out and were like, "Oh, you've taken this too far." And I'm like, "This has not gone, or this has gone too far." I'm like, "This has not gone far enough." Yes, it's gone too far that they're shutting down the elevator, and then have said things like, "We're sorry that this is inconvenient for you." If you're not following her, she's been documenting this on her Instagram, Amy Van Dyken, on her TikTok, on her Twitter. So, for those of you interested in the fight over disability rights that's happening right in her backyard, go and take a look. What I love about Amy is she's like, "This is why this isn't okay." And they're like, this needs to stop. And she's like, no, I'm just telling you why this isn't okay. This isn't okay. And they're like, "Well, we can not close the elevators at 7 and at 10. And she was on one of her videos yesterday. She's like, "I'm disabled. I'm not a vampire or werewolf or toddler. I sometimes I want to be out past 10 p.m. Like, I have a life. I'd like to be out. I'd just like to be able to get home." So, Elin, thank you. If thank you. Right now, Team Baker is good, but I will absolutely keep that in mind. I appreciate it. You guys are talking about procrastination, distraction is real. Rob is excuse me, they make reorganizing desk videos and cleaning videos on YouTube. Rob, buddy, I didn't know they had woodworking videos on YouTube. Do you know they also have videos of people like cleaning up yards and power washing shit? I can't tell you how much I love a power washing video. There's a whole like extreme car detailing side of YouTube that I find fucking fascinating. And the roof cleanings, like the rabbit holes I end up down on YouTube, my algorithm, I'm sure, is fucked. They're like, whatever, she'll probably watch it. True. But the power washing videos I'm fascinated by. The way people approach the projects that seem overwhelming, love all of it. The people who are like cleaning up sidewalks in Detroit, like it's fucking fascinating. There's so much on YouTube. But yes, there are lots of desk reorganizing videos. And lots of clean with me videos. They're great. Chat, I love you. I love just getting to have a chat. I love just getting to answer questions and really chat with the chat. So let's see. What else? The elevators are a drag. What's up with the elevators? They keep closing them because they are concerned about the illegal activity happening in the elevators. They didn't express that very well. I would go follow all of her coverage. Zoe said or Zoe, I didn't see the two dots. I apologize. I was so ashamed of my ADHD. I signed up to be a note taker in college for ADHD program students. Dep trial, I found Leonard's and acceptance of my condition. I'm so glad. That's what we're here for. It can be hard. It can be hard to talk about. And the thing is, ADHD, look, when we're talking about neurodivergency, it is not something to be ashamed of. It's just when systems are set up in a way that don't work for us, it can feel so overwhelming to say, hey, this is set up in a way that doesn't work for me. Can we work with it? And this is one of the things I love how Amy talks about too with physical disability. It's like, hey, this is set up in a way that doesn't work for me. Can we do this so it works for me? Everything from hotels not having, compliant stools in the shower to trying to go out to a restaurant and sit at the bar and they're using the lower portion of the bar that is for ADA compliance for like a server prep station instead of using it for wheelchair accessibility and things like that. So there's lots of communities that struggle with different systems that are set up that don't work with us, and just finding your community and finding ways to work with that and ask for what you need should be normalized. It's hard when you feel like you're breaking the norm. And I think so many of us are kind of ingrained in us to feel like, oh, don't ask for too much. Don't rock the boat. Don't be that person, It's okay to be that person. It's okay to ask for what you need. Yep. That's okay. So, what's Amy's TikTok? I believe it's just Amy Van Dyken. I think everything is just Amy Van Dyke. Let's just pull it up. Let's just pull up the TikToks. I just typed in TikToks into my browser. Emily, it's time. It's time. It's time. Okay, let's see. Amy. Yep, it's just Amy Van Dyken. So I'll put a link. I'm going to put a link to her TikTok in here, and I'll show you where. Let's go share, add to stream. I don't well know how to use TikTok, but this is Amy Van Dyken on TikTok, same username across all social medias, and this is her talking about these last few. We're talking about the elevator, so you can absolutely go and check that out. Am I also on the TikToks? Yes. Do I use it all the time? Nope. But we're there. So she talks about it. She'll read you the whole email in there why they close it, but I think I addressed that. They were worried about illegal activity. The rug restoration videos are awesome. I love those too. I love all of it. Mia's like, Rob, YouTube has videos on everything. Fridge restocking is so good. I like fridge restocking on TikTok too. I do. And I've gotten to a point in life, this was a win for me. I got to a point in life where the fridge restocking didn't make me feel like I needed to restock my fridge that way, where I was just like, I appreciate that. That's not practical for my life, but I love to see it. We love to see it. So Kelly says my algorithm is definitely a whatever. She'll probably watch it. I've been down all those rabbit holes. I love it. Lawn Care Juggernaut is awesome out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Does it for free for people. Yes. And that is one of the channels I watch as well. My boyfriend calls it YouTube University. There's a short video on YouTube called Denver 7. Yes, because they did a few interviews with Amy Van Dyken. It's been great. Genevieve, watched your first stream of 2022 today. And when you say your aim is 200K, even when subs fluctuate, you should be proud of how far you come. I am. So glad I found your channel, even if I'm late to the party. No, I absolutely look, YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. and I am not worried about it. Every channel that covered the Depp Heard trial has had some attrition, but it's interesting because it happened when I took a little bit of time off, and that's a funny quirk of the YouTube algorithm. And it's one of the things that kind of feeds the creators wanting to feed the algorithm, where it's like, no, if we go from everyday content for a month and then we go to 2 times a week content, it's going to mess with the way that YouTube understands your channel. But it's why sometimes creators feel like they can't take a break. And we're just not in that. But that's when everybody's like, we're binging. I'm like, no, we're binging the other way. But again, it's not something that's a problem, because if people are like, I just came for this coverage, that's okay. That's okay. Plenty of you want to see other coverage, and we cover all kinds of things. Question, can we have a long chat evening so we can ask all the questions in the world, please? Sounds delightful. Yes, we can. I will figure out a time to do it. And that is one of the things we do on members only live streams. We do a lot more chats like this. And today it was really nice to just have a chat. So, let's see. My manager told me it sounded like I wasn't making a concerted enough effort to deal with my severe ADHD. And this is why it can feel so hard to ask for help, where people are like, can you just try to focus? No. See, that's the thing. And I'm so sorry that happened. It's not on you. You get to ask for accommodations. They have to accommodate you under the ADA. I am so sorry that happened. It is not your fault to say, hey, I need to work this way and not that way. So, all right, with that, I'm going to do a few last questions, and then we're going to bounce. Amy, good to see you. First live in months, bombed the LSAT. I'm sorry to hear that. Mom had ER surgery. BFF's mom unexpectedly passed. School trials life. Missed you. Could you give me advice on studying for the LSAT prep course? I needed a prep course. There's nothing wrong with a prep course. It absolutely helps. And a lot of practice tests. The hard thing with the practice test is I needed someone to explain where I was getting it wrong, because it really is a formula, and having someone explain that helped. Sarah, my son just failed his maths exam. He has, I'm guessing we're saying dyslexia. The system is definitely not set up to help. And that's a very hard thing. With asking for accommodations, even to make it easier, like the weighted dyslexia fonts, so that you can have that help with printing. It's hard. Rianne, I think it's Rianne, said, I am homebound, or Rain, I'm homebound because Medicaid believes a lightweight wheelchair is a luxury item. That's just, I can't afford $4,000 as a single mom on SSI. ADA struggle is real. It absolutely is real. Rain, I'm so sorry to hear that. And again, a lightweight wheelchair shouldn't be a luxury item. Let me ask, or DM Amy Van Dyken. There has got to be a way to help you solve this problem, because that's not acceptable. But there's got to be a way that we can help solve this problem. So let me ask Amy, and if you don't mind DMing me or DMing her, there's got to be a way to help you solve that problem. We will figure it out. Oh, sorry, Elena, dyscalculia. See, my brain was just like, I don't understand that word, because dyslexia with numbers. I did not know there was something else to call it. So thank you. Is flipping numbers not an official diagnosis? Well, I flipped numbers. I thought it was part of dyslexia. But again, this is why I say I don't know. Just because I have things doesn't mean I know everything about the things. So that's for sure. That's for sure part of it. So we are going to, let's see. I'm going to do one more. On your hat, it looks like a dot above the T. It's just the way it's pulling on camera, because it's a 3D puffy hat. So it's just the way it's pulling on camera from the light reflecting. So couldn't figure out it was a T till you said it. Yeah, it's the A, this is a very worn in hat, and B, it's a puffy hat. So that's what it is. Wintry asks, my oldest has ADHD and also sensory issues. Do you have sensory issues as well? I do not have the same sensory issues my kids do. Some of my sound and sensory stuff is more connected to CPTSD. So, but sometimes when you've got so much going on, it's hard to be like, is this because of this? Or is this because of this? So I do have some sound sensory stuff, but it seems by the way it presents to be more connected with other things that I don't always talk about a lot. And in some of my streams, you guys have seen why. There are some things I can talk about well and easily and helpfully, and there are some things I cannot talk about well and easily and helpfully. So I never mind you guys asking, but sensory goes, I've seen with my kids pretty hand in hand. So, okay. Can we get a quick react tomorrow of Hold Me Closer? Sure. My quick react will probably be, I love it. So, I definitely don't know enough about music to have much of an input on that, but I want to see Twins the New Trend react to things. With that, I should say goodbye. Patty H, welcome to the stream. We covered it at the beginning. And so don't forget to go back and watch. Don't forget to do the YouTube things. I should ask more. I don't. But you guys know how to do the YouTube things. We're not novices here. If you're on the Facebook, go ahead and remember to follow on the Facebook and like the Facebook page so you get notified when I go live over there too. And I'm going to say goodbye. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a Leonard. Nicole. Dana K. White has life-changing vids on cleaning organization for us squirrel peeps. She's also a hoot. Is that over on How to ADHD? Is that who runs the How to ADHD channel, or is it under her name? Just let us know in the chat, because then we can find it. Lawnards, thank you for being Lawnards. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I will talk to you soon, and we will talk soon. All right, it's time to go. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.